Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and folk of all ages, you know what time it is. It is the 1st of February, and it is time for us to go over the holidays, holy days, and days of remembrance of our folk. We've got 3 special days this month, so let's get down to it, because the first one is today. On February 1st, we honor the Day of Remembrance for King Eanfrith of Bernicia. And we follow that up on the 9th of the month for the Day of Remembrance for Eyvind. And on the 15th is the Observance Day for Charming of the Plow. All right, everybody, thank you so very much for joining us this month. Let's get down to it. King Eanfrith of Bernicia, born 590 and died 634 of the Common Era, was a Saxon king in what is now lowland Scotland during the initial wave of conversions to Christianity in England. His father was an Asatru king, Eanfrith of both Bernicia and Deira, the two halves of the kingdom of Northumbria. He was killed in 616 when Eanfrith was in his mid-20s. When he was killed, Eanfrith's uncle Eyvind then took the throne of all Northumbria, and Eanfrith was sent north to live in exile amongst the Scots. While living in exile with the Scots, he was forced to either be baptized or find a new home. Unfortunately, in a moment of weakness that can almost be excused, he chose to briefly forsake his troth with the Aesir and be bathed in the name of the foreign Christ. He also married a Pictish Christian princess and had a son with her, further stepping away from the light of the Aesir. However, when his uncle Eyvind was killed in battle by another Saxon king, the Asatru Pinda of Mercia, Eanfrith seized the opportunity to reclaim both of his birthrights, the throne of Bernicia and his relationship with the Aesir. The Venerable Bede specifically states that King Eanfrith immediately renounced and lost his faith in the foreign Christ. After returning to his throne and picking up the torch of Asatru, King Eanfrith sought peace negotiations with Cadwallon, the Christian Celtic king who had assisted in defeating Eyvind. Cadwallon agreed to meet King Eanfrith for peace negotiations, so King Eanfrith took a small retinue of only 12 soldiers. When they arrived to meet Cadwallon, he had them trapped and then killed almost immediately, even though King Eanfrith arrived with the honorable intent of keeping the Frith and working towards peace. Even when approached nobly and with the best intentions, the Christian snakes ambushed and killed at least 13 Asatru men, simply for keeping their loyalty to the Aesir intact. This unfortunately ended Asatru in northern England until the start of the Viking Age, but for a brief moment, King Eanfrith of Bernicia restored the Saxons' native faith of Asatru. He cared not for the material or social consequences, as he had while in exile. He cared only to do what was right by his folk and by his gods. Let us all follow his example by marching onward boldly, nobly, and honorably towards victory with the Aesir in our hearts. Hail King Eanfrith! Hail the Asatru Folk Assembly! And that brings us to February 9th, the Day of Remembrance for Eyvind, who died the year 999 Common Era. He was a Norwegian landowner of noble stock, followed and admired by many good men in and around his holdings. He held a reputation for being openly and relentlessly Asatru, even during a time when it was becoming increasingly dangerous to do so. As is the case with many of our days of remembrance, this one involves the villainous King Olaf Tryggvason, who Christianized his own people with both bribery and deadly force. Raud the Strong, who we honor on January 9th, was one of his many victims. Eyvind's story takes place during the year 999 Common Era, as Olaf the Snake was making his rounds of Norway in an attempt to subvert every faithful follower of the Aesir. One man, Harik of Fjota, had managed to outrun Olaf and his men, escaping to an area near Eyvind Kenrifa's lands. He sent word to Eyvind, asking for his help in fighting off a coming invasion from Olaf. Eyvind bravely answered the call, knowing that he was honor-bound to defend the Aesir and all of his Asatru subjects with his life. However, when he arrived at Herrick's location, he was attacked by some of Olaf's men who had followed Herrick without him realizing it. They took Eyvind to Olaf, where Olaf attempted to bribe him many times to renounce his loyalty to the Aesir and embrace the foreign deity of the desert. Eyvind declined all of the gold, silver, and land in the world, because his faith in the gods of his ancestors meant more to him than mere possessions. When Olaf instead threatened Eyvind, his answer did not change. His will was unbroken, and his resolve stronger than steel. The serpent Olaf eventually killed Eyvind, likely in a gruesome manner, but he never wavered in his piety and dedication to the Aesir. So, what can we learn from this story? Eyvind lived, fought, and died a stalwart Asatru, even when it was deadly to do so. He did not renounce his gods to fit in, or to make money, or to gain materialistic glory, and not even to save his life here in Midgard. Let us all look inward into our hearts and ask ourselves if we would have the strength to follow Eyvind's example. That strength lives in anyone who proudly walks with the Asatru Folk Assembly, and that strength will be with you for as long as you have the courage to carry it forward. On the 9th of February, as we stop to remember Eyvind Kenrifa and his unwavering faith despite the consequences, take a moment to consider what in your life is important to you. Even in these times when we are living with unparalleled freedom of choice, it can be difficult to choose faith over all else. It's sometimes easier to hide behind the idea of a pseudonym or to keep your faith hidden from those in your lives that should matter. Remember when you think of Eyvind, what truly matters. Stand strong with and take pride in your folk and your gods. Hail Eyvind Kenrifa. Hail the Asatru Folk Assembly. Alrighty, and that's the days of remembrance for the month, so it brings us to our holy day. And as with most of our holy days, the actual day does fall on the third Saturday of the month, along with its observance. It doesn't happen to be one of the solstice or equinox holidays that the day can actually maneuver around a bit. So, Charming of the Plow, what is it? It is a ritual that takes place at the early beginning of the planting season. As the name implies, the plow or other tools used are blessed and offerings are made to the gods for the productive growing season. Traditionally, after blessing the plow, a ceremonial furrow was dug and then filled with cakes or other offerings. For our ancestors, this was a crucial time of the year. Poor preparation often led to a poor harvest, and a poor harvest led to starvation. Asatru is the modern celebration of our ancestral heritage. Charming the Plow symbolizes our willful penetration of the unyielding soil. It is with our own industriousness, our own will, that we create, that we change, and that we provide. In the Asatru Folk Assembly, we often celebrate the Charming of the Plow by planting a tree. Inflict your will on the world. As Asatru, this is a time to charm the implements of your own productivity. Entreating the divine to bless your tools and your plans for the year is essential to starting things off right. Inviting the divine into our plans and intentions is a great way of making us aware of the sacrality that should be part of all you do. The AFA encourages all Asatru to be industrious in all that we do. Dream grand dreams. Make solid plans. Do big things. And after hard work, reap a bountiful harvest. And what can you do to celebrate charming the plow? Though most of us do not rely on growing our own food to survive, now is a good time to consider starting a small garden, or even just growing some herbs on the patio. Make a plan. Choose a small patch of yard and map out your garden beds. Bless the shovels and spades. Dig up the soil and begin fertilizing it with eggshells and coffee grinds. Prepare. If you cannot plant a small garden, begin planning some project. Sew a quilt. Build a chair. Take an idea and make a plan, and then put that plan into action. Inflict your will on the world. Hail Freyr. Hail the Asatru Folk Assembly. And that's it, everybody. That's February 2025. I do appreciate all y'all sticking around and listening to this video, learning a bit, getting a refresher a bit on some stuff we already knew. Whatever works for you. I'll be back next month with more offerings for us. And again, I'll see you around. Don't forget, Charming the Plow at Njordshoff's our big national event this month. You can go to runestone.org/store, get your tickets. And while you're there, come on out to Thorshoff next month as well. Those tickets are on sale for Ostara too. And right now, in store as we speak, we have brand new 30th anniversary shirts for the Asatru Folk Assembly. Go get them while supplies last. Well, thank you guys so much. That's all I got for you. So, hail King Eanfrith of Bernicia. Hail Eyvind King Lifa. Hail Yngvi. Hail the Aesir. Hail the folk. Hail the AFA. And hail victory, y'all. Have a great one.